I can tell you something, often sport in general gets redefined by some of the heavyweights, and in this case, we've turned something that some of us might refer to as WrestleMania into Russellmania, and it was none other than Andre the Giant who brought Russellmania into the Eden Gardens. And what it's also done on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live is we were all expecting and all wondering who will sit on the MPL Super Couch. I was quickly eliminated, but the reason I'm still smiling is so were Ajay and Harsha, quietly eliminated. We don't get the couch today, folks.
We were muscled out by Andre Russell. We were muscled out.
I guess we don't mind being muscled out. You know, It was just pleasure watching that. It's just fabulous. There's two kinds of games that were going on. There was a normal cricket game going on. You had a Narayan at the top, which was totally different than 1 over, and then at the end.
And none of us know who was the offending fielder who was not in the right place at the time, but those numbers tell a story, because had Russell been bowled by that beauty from Mohammad Shami at that point in time, he was 6 of 4, and after that the carnage started. 55 of the last 3 overs.
So whose responsibility is it to look after the little things? I'd like to know if there was a fielder was assigned inside the circle and who happened to drift outside, or whether the person who set the field actually pushed them all out and didn't realize he only had 3 in. If the second is the case, it's the captain who's at fault, or if the bowler set the field, but it's the captain who's at fault. If there was a fielder who just was lazy and didn't come back inside the circle in time, then it's the fielder's fault.
So I can tell you something, folks. For the second match in a row, Ravichandran Ashwin has been involved in a decision involving someone who should have been this side of the line. It was that side of the line instead.
So we're going to have a debate for the next 3 days about it, are we?
But yeah, so to answer that, it means whatever happens, he as the captain should have been looking out for that.
Look, I mean, you've got to say that. I mean, that's what the captain's job is. And, you know, as players, you're supposed to stand where your captain asks you to stand. But at times it could be the bowler, or at times it could be the coach. You know, these days you never know how they play this game.
Yeah.
It's almost a pattern that, you know, when this player comes to play, that's where you're going to be standing. Or when an ex-bowler is bowling, this is the field no matter what the situation of the game is. To show you within this game is when Andre Russell walked in. You talked about 4 of 6 balls. When he walked in, the first run that he took, I mean, he was on 0. Everybody was on the line. The first 6 balls, you got him out as well. Your best chance is at that time, but they don't play that like that anymore. They look at their strike rates and say, oh, Russell's come in. The field opens up. Everybody goes into defensive mode. So you never know whose call it is.
I'd like to know if there's an eagle-eyed square leg umpire who noticed that maybe someone was taking a start, but was trying to be too smart and was trying to time the start to be just inside the circle and was a foot or 2 outside. Yeah. Because the straight umpire can't see that. The square leg umpire's got to see it. Unless he saw that, or maybe it was just that...
Well, I'm not sure it was that. It could have been someone who was supposed to come in and swap positions, and we didn't see what happened, but...
But they came back very quickly. It didn't go to the third umpire to check. So they came back very quickly. Yeah. So obviously the on-field umpires knew it.
But if they knew it, I mean, let's go further. If they knew it, and you say, if I'm a square leg umpire, I'm standing there and I see only 3 people in the circle.
Do I stop?
Should I stop the game and tell the bowling team that, oh, you only got 3 people in there, you need to get another one in? Or I just stand there and let them make a mistake?
It's a question I've often asked, especially when the straight umpire sometimes just tells the bowler running in, listen, you're coming too close to the no-ball line. And they do it all the time. It's considered good practice by the umpire to just tell him, listen, just be careful, you're coming too close. If I'm the batsman, I'm thinking to the umpire, why are you telling him that? Because if you don't tell him, he might not know, he might go over, I get a no ball and a free hit. So how much does the umpire say? Now, this is again convention, right? Convention says you just pat him on the back and say, listen, you're just coming close, be careful, right? And friendly umpires do that all the time. So he's got a valid point here. Do you put your arm out and say, sorry, you've got 3 outside? Or do you say, as he said, sorry, it's the captain's job to have 4 fielders outside? Too bad, it's not my job to control play.
So much to talk about. We haven't even reminded you of what exactly was the damage done in terms of the end of that Kolkata innings. Yes, they finished with 208. They had got 245 in that carnage in Indore not too long ago. This time around, it was 218 for 4. Robin Uthappa was a spectator at the end with Russell at the other end, 67 of 50. He played his part, got the singles, got Russell on strike when necessary, and it was almost a partnership, as Ajay Jadeja very kindly reminded us when him and Sachin on this very date in 1994 were playing. There was one man at the other end and you were kindly giving him singles whenever you needed to.
Yeah, that's what you need to do, and I guess that's what Uthappa was doing today. When the carnage is on at the other end, you in spite of Uthappa being set, I think he realized that it was, for his team, the benefit was that if Andre Russell plays many more balls than he would face, in spite of being at 50 or 55, because that's the skill and the ability of that man, similar to in the case in my partnership.
It was 58 of 45, Uthappa, 5 of 7, Russell, when the carnage began. And there was a chance, as Ajay said, that actually Russell might score more than. By the way, apparently he wants to be called Robbie.
Yes,
that's why you have Robbie on the card.
He is. But let's not forget, while we talked about one kind of Caribbean carnage at the end, there was one at the beginning that really kick-started things for Kolkata with Sunil Narine opening the batting.
What would this tournament be without the people from the Caribbean, eh?
Oh,
sorry. I just got Ajay talking on his favorite part of the world.
That's the moment that I wait for when we go tour the Caribbean, because I think it's the mindset. What has changed in the game? Look, the ball is still 5.5 ounces. The bat is still that wide. It's still 22 yards. Why is it that these guys play this game differently? Because they think differently. They live life. They don't worry about the, I would say, the numbers in that sense that, what works better. They just go out and do what they feel like doing. And I think this game is all about the feel.
Is that why they're so good at T20? It's just
I
made
think
for
that's
them.
the reason, because everybody else is playing the way it should be played. And these guys come out there and do what they think they should be doing. And in any sport, what is it? It's one versus the other. The skills, of course, matter, whether you should have those skills. But at the end of the day, it's about, a bowler's bowling. If he thinks that you're going to hit him, example in this game, I think is a 10-1. As soon as Russell comes into bat, what happens? The bowler goes around the wicket. He's only trying to find that yorker. So as from the batsman point of view, the rest of the 22 yards are out. Whereas when Robin Uthappa is playing, he has to think, it could be a slower one, it could be a length ball, it could be a short ball. When you put that fear in the bowler's mind and you get to know that the bowler's only going to bowl there, it makes your life that much easier. I think it's all in the mind. There's nothing else. It's the freedom that they play with, and I guess they live with that freedom as well. And again, it's a double-edged sword. He could have been gone for, 4 out of 6 balls, and then we would have said, oh, he should have stayed till the end. So our boys, or modern day cricketers around the world, play this game in a certain way, and then there are these West Indians who just come out there.
But Gautam was right on either side. The Narine was 25, and after the let-off, Andre Russell got 22 and 25. I mean, I know there was a single here and there for somebody else. So that's 25, 22, 25. Yeah, there you go. There were 72, 73 runs of 3 overs.
Another instance that I can think, which I think really turned the game, and we were talking about this at the start, was Chakravarti was brought in. I thought he was there for Russell. He'd had bad 2 overs. You referred to that, the first over, the carnage. But the third over that he bowled, actually he gave away 1 run.
Took a wicket
with both these guys batting. And Rana played pretty well. We've forgotten about him. He's bowled that over. But what is the logic these days? Oh, he's having a bad day. Don't give him another over. In fact, he could have bowled. Maybe he would have got a wicket.
Or what if he goes for another 25?
Yes. Yeah. So it is not about what if it can go positive. I think everybody starts thinking in this format that what if it goes wrong? Let me not go wrong. Even if it doesn't work, it's okay. Let me do what is to be done.
It's a very
so the West Indians think
they brought on someone who we didn't even consider as an option. We thought Chris Gayle could be that 6th bowling option. Mandeep Singh was the one.
No, he wasn't an option. He was just putting the ball to the other end. But he makes a valid point. Was the captain's feeling about that Chakravarti over relief or joy?
Yeah.
You say, oh wow, he only considered 1. He said, oh, thank God, I've got him out of there. Maybe that was what it was. Yeah.
But we still felt here that having got that, we still had to have the courage maybe to give him that 4th over.
Of course, you fought for him in the auction. You paid, I'm not saying the amount of money, I'm saying you believe. Look at the belief in the auction that you picked him. You fought against a lot of other teams. You believe in him. You play him in this game thinking that he's going to do well. Of course, he had a bad over to start with. He got smashed all around. But a couple of overs cannot change your belief. And at the end of the 3rd over, in fact, you should be happy, like he said, that, oh, okay, now he's got it back. He's, in a good rhythm. Let me make him bowl another over, because that is what you played him for. The way I see it, you played him for Andrew Russell. Otherwise, you could have played him in the last game as well. That is the moment that you should have carried on with him. Now what happens? Do you have the belief to play him in the next game now?
Very good point.
Well, and remember, it is a record. We talked about these points. Well, he's the most expensive, unknown, untried player ever to be bought in the auction. Also now has the unenviable record of giving away the most runs in his first over in IPL history, which is 25, beating Cameron White's 24 against the rampaging Baz McCullum many years ago.
Cameron White also. I mean, he started off as someone who could bowl leg breaks, and then he wasn't.
But yeah, Ajay reminded us about Nitish Rana. Again, when you see an innings like Russell and Narayan and the Caribbean flavour, you tend to forget someone who's played solidly and given you that base twice running now.
Yeah, I think he was the key. What Russell could do was because what Nitish Rana did. And he's only played 34 balls, and that's a pretty,
And look at that, 185 strike rate. We want to talk about him.
We're not even talking about him. And at a different stage of the game. Yes, you had a great start, but what happened is you lost two of your, explosive openers at that time. So you had to actually build an innings. So they did a bit of that, and then he, ripped into Ravichandran Ashwin. And it's not easy to get after him. He was bowling pretty well. Yeah. Last game he bowled pretty well, and it's in the middle of the innings where he, got after him, and that's a pretty good partnership as well.
10 and over,
10 and over there. And so with that base, and then Russell coming at the end was just carnage.
So you had these fancy dishes around, which is Nitish Rana, Sunil Narayan up, and you had Robin Uthappa, who was the sort of dal chawal in between. Just knocking the ball around, and yet.
And what's Russell then?
He's made 134.
What's Russell then?
Russell is a battering ram. Let's find. I'll tell you when I think of the right expression for him.
And just to finish on the subject of the Caribbeans, remember there's a chap called Carlos Brathwaite who's in the team, not getting in.
Or not getting into that 11.
I think they're worried about a chap called Chris Gayle at the moment.
They are. So it could be really the only Caribbean factor, because let's talk about two things now. One is, of course, it has to be a record run chase. But two, let's remind all of you that Kolkata, Eden Gardens, is the second most successful chasing ground in the history of this tournament, and that's since 2015. And the reason we are saying since 2015 is because that's when the nature of this particular surface changed, and it's been very good chasing ground. But of course, when you put that many runs on the board, these statistics could get skewed. Look at that, 61.29, 31 matches, 19-1 chasing. Obviously, this is one of those times you say that you have to put extra runs on the board.
It's amazing that Hyderabad is ahead of Bengaluru and Mumbai. I would have thought Bengaluru and Mumbai were easier grounds to chase totals on. But again, Bengaluru for a couple of years had gone to sleep. We'll have to wait and see how it is this year. Pune again, difficult ground to defend. But I would have thought, I didn't realize Hyderabad was above those two. Kotla as well. I mean, Kotla, I remember one day going to the Kotla, one of these games, and I think it was much of a Mumbai game, because Harbhajan came out and he said, oh. I said, kya hua bhaji? He said, 30 yard circle dur hai ke boundary? It does look that small when you play on one of the corner surfaces.
It used to be a smaller ground anyway, and now with that new stand, which we can't use, I don't know what the legality on that is, but that's actually taken in another 10 yards, and then you've got advertising hoardings, and the boundary comes in, so it's really small.
They'll never have the boundary inside the 30 yard circle.
You could, you never know, you never know. But that's an interesting list that we saw. Why I feel that list is showing that Bangalore and Calcutta are not at the top is because probably these wickets are so good when you bat first, when you get to totals like this, which is beyond a number that you can chase, a lot of teams actually falter right at the top. When you're chasing 210, 220. So maybe batting first becomes easier in that sense if you get a good start. And the teams don't chase that well there because they've faltered way before they get into that chase. They try too hard.
All right, just to finish off, two questions to throw at you. One, without the universe boss, can this be achieved?
I am thinking back to what he said right at the start. The universe boss is going to take 20 balls, 15 balls, 18 balls. If he plays those 15, 18 balls and gets out, they'll lose by 50, 60 runs at least. So it's all up to him. Can you get him out at that stage when he's played about 15, 20 balls? So it's not only about him. There's Rahul, there's Miller, who's coming off good form. Over the last couple of years, Miller's done actually nothing for
Gale's favourite, Sarfaraz?
Yeah, Sarfaraz, man. Yeah.
All right, so then let's get a prediction. If I'm assuming both of you are not going for the record being broken yet in terms of the chase, so how many do Punjab end up getting? Because in that day in Indore, 245 played 214. How close do they get?
Oh,
Or do they get ahead?
if they don't get it, then they'll probably be around 180. I don't think it'll be a close. If it is a close game, they get close, then they'll win it. But it's the same thing. What I looked at that list, that you go too hard at the top and then you're left with nothing in the bag.
I'm thinking of 170.
180, 170. Since none of us were sitting on the couch anyway, I'll err on the side of what Ajay just said. Go too hard, end up losing wickets, scoreboard pressure. 155.
Okay, now suppose two of us had not said anything and you had to make the first choice. What would you have said?
I would have still gone lower.
Because I can see that
He's gone one low, 155.
No,
I don't think that. I'll tell you, Amira, because
no, the only way he can win is by going low.
no, why he can go 190, 200.
But then the interval in which he wins is too small.
I could have.
No, I don't think, because these margins, what has happened is the opposition also says, "Acha chalo, itne to banane do." This has become a computer game. There's no more humans playing.
Gayle has hit the second ball for 6.
Has he? Oh, then they could win it. Let's go watch it.
So he's not playing 15 balls. He's not playing 15 balls to get set in. So this could be interesting. Can I change still? No, I can't. I'll stick to it. I will not change. MPL presents Cricbuzz Live is going to be back. And of course, in between 10th over, we'll review everything that's happening at the halfway stage. Are they on course? Cricbuzz Combox will tell all.